path might you take in your quest for total health?
Optimum health that encompasses mind, body, and spirit.
So join us now as we head to the frontiers of integrative health and well-being.
With Judy Brooks
Roy Walkenhorst
and Michelle Bernhardt, our inner world guide.
on Healing Quest. Hi, thanks for joining us. Today we want you to listen carefully about a healing force that's within earshot of us all.
There's no side effects, and you don't even need to refill your prescriptions.
We're talking about the awesome power of music to help us heal, and about the effort to understand how that happens.
Also, we have a modern tale of survival that involves an ancient form of healing and borders on the miraculous.
They had called everyone, my doctors, they said I wasn't going to make it, and my parents, everyone should say goodbye to me.
We'll see how acupuncture helped save a woman whose illness had baffled Western medicine for 12 years.
And I'm sorry, but sometimes I do feel like a nut. And I feel healthier for it.
When you see why, you will too. So let's get started. We have great insights to share with you on our journey to better health, right here on Healing Quest.
Broadcast of this program made possible by
So True, makers of organic, fermented whole food nutrition. All So True products are non-GMO, gluten and soy free, and fermented to help unlock the full potency of each ingredient. More information is available at SoTrue.com. So True, whole food nutrition designed for your best self.
Prime, a daily dietary supplement designed to support cardiovascular health by boosting the production of nitric oxide. More information available at primeno.com.
Vital Choice Seafood, wild-caught seafood and whole food supplements rich in omega-3s. More information about our wild seafood and our sustainable practices is available at www.vitalchoice.com or at 800-608-4825. We're going to start today with a question or two. For example, can we measure emotion and feelings?
What healing force can travel across time, cultures, and languages as if they weren't even there?
Well, what healing force can make you happy if you're sad, remember if you've forgotten, and manage or calm your emotions?
You know, all that may sound like a riddle about some new magic wonder drug, but our inner world guide, Michelle Bernhardt, is about to show us a new frontier in the world of music.
That's right, Roy and Judy. And on that frontier, the music plays and the computers hum side by side to uncover what we've always felt but never really understood.
Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
Admit it, each one of those short snippets made you feel something, remember something, perhaps even conjure specific scenes in your mind, different from those we showed you. If we're right, you've already had a small glimpse of the deep and mysterious connection between music and the mind.
Our associations with music run really deep. It's something that is with us our entire lives. I mean, from birth, we're exposed to music. It just permeates who we are, and so, you know, we can hear those even fragments of music, and it awakens the soul.
Music looked like this in Mozart's time. In Peter Giannata's laboratory, it looks like this today. Giannata is a scientist by profession, a performing musician by avocation. With his research, he's trying to get to the bottom of just where, within the vast complexity of the human brain, music creates its universal magic.
Recording brain activity, so the EEG at the same time, and we're looking for signatures of that automatic processing of the emotional quality.
To many, it might seem like an impossible quest. Can science really find a way to measure human emotion? To even discover where in us it comes from?
Here's the medial prefrontal cortex that is reasonably spared in Alzheimer's, and here what we're showing with these red colors is these are parts of the brain that are responding more strongly to familiar, memory-evoking, and pleasing music.
The exciting thing is in the frontal cortex, when we improvise music, such as jazz pianists playing, in MRI studies, what they found is that activates the part of the brain that is the seat of consciousness.
Music therapist Christine Stevens is internationally known for harnessing music's power to heal. She says new research confirms what humankind's earliest healers sensed when they first beat out a rhythm or raised their voices in song or chant.
Everyone has inside them a drum, the heartbeat. It's the first rhythm that we learned in the womb of our mother, so we all have been learning music for a very long time. We're informed by science, by medical research, so that we can bring music into people's lives in a very accurate, research-based, evidence-based way today.
Piece by piece, the evidence is exposing music's enormous potential as a force that can reawaken the soul in those who have lost almost everything else, even memory itself.
I've been here 90 years, and if I could remember, I would tell you, but I can't remember.
Regina Scully produced the acclaimed documentary film Alive Inside. It dramatically chronicles the effect a simple song and nothing else can have on those with Alzheimer's disease and dementia.
When people are listening to music, it literally lights up the most parts of the brain. Listening to music activates everything. And we also know that there's a part of the brain that music has an effect on that stimulates memory. And we know now that music can help people with dementia and Alzheimer's. One of the films that we produced is called Alive Inside, and it deals with this whole issue.
It takes me back to my school days.
I would like to hit the number.
Mama told us not to go listen to him. We would sneak off at night, bring back pictures from the dance. And I worked in Kings County 9 years. You dealing in Kings County. My birthday, November 20th, 19. I was in the wartime. I was working at Fort Jackson. And my son, on February the 4th, was 69. I didn't know I could talk so much.
Music becomes a very effective tool for bringing emotional richness to the lives of individuals who otherwise may not have that in their daily lives. I think when you can connect the person with their past, elicit nostalgia, the quintessential emotion of memory.
And here's your iPod. All you have to do is click the center button one time. I think you're all set.
We're just in love tomorrow.
There are parts of the brain that are still spared in Alzheimer's patients that somehow allow the incoming music that they're hearing to interact with these memories of the past.
In his lab today, Peter Giannotta and his assistants are experimenting with measuring the emotional content of individual sounds one by one. He hopes to collect new data showing not just why some sounds help us feel better, but how.
I think that music can promote healing and wellness in many ways. Music creates this rich world that our minds can interact with in all these ways that people aren't going to be judgmental about.
What's interesting about preventive medicine is using music not just to treat illnesses, but also to maintain our health and well-being. The doctors don't have to prescribe this, you prescribe it yourself. There's no side effects, and you don't even need to refill your prescriptions.
Peter Giannotta and fellow musician Gene Fox have found that as effective as music can be as a healing force for everyone, it's an essential need for some.
Going out to play music once a week is absolutely critical for my mental health. It gives me an opportunity to interact musically with other people, just to let loose, try out new stuff, so it's a great release.
It doesn't matter whether you could carry a tune or not. It always feels good to sing, and your voice is important.
The ability to engage with music in a free and creative way allows you to work through thoughts. It's kind of like music becomes the background soundtrack for your life.
One thing most of us know is how personal music can be. Different genres of music, different performers, even different versions of the same piece of music can resonate with us personally or not resonate at all. So it's a good idea to have your own playlist of music already with selections tailored to your own memories, moods, and feelings. And one more thing, the movie Alive Inside, you saw a glimpse of in our story, is very moving and makes an important point that you didn't see. One doctor in the movie pointed out that just a $40 compact music player can have a far greater healing effect than dozens of medications on the lives of loved ones who may be dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's.
Thanks, Michelle. What a moving and powerful story.
And up next, another powerful story about another kind of healing power, not quite as ancient, but it still may have saved a woman's life after Western medicine was stumped for 12 years.
Acupuncture has been in use around the world for over 2,000 years.
Now, Western medicine, by and large, has been slow to embrace it, although the medical establishment does now acknowledge acupuncture's ability to relieve pain.
But as you'll see in our next story, acupuncture can sometimes have a much bigger healing impact.
In fact, in the right hands, or fingers, those tiny needles can be life-saving.
My name is Beth Wagner, and I have Addison's. The problem was I wasn't diagnosed, and without being diagnosed and taking your medication, it should be fatal and you should go into a coma. It was 12 years, and my doctors thought I was going to die. I'd been to all the best doctors. I'd been to the Mayo Clinic. I'd been everywhere. And someone researched and found Dr. Jin for me. And ironically, actually, I came to her office very sick.
My name is Ming Jin. I'm a licensed acupuncturist in New York and New Jersey.
My friend took me there, and we're sitting in the office, and we had asked before on the phone, could she possibly come to my home because I wasn't well enough to be mobile, and they said she didn't make house calls.
When she came to the office, I got very shocked because there was two people follow her and they tell me she cannot have any noise, she cannot have any smell, and then she cannot have any of the material around touch her, and they tell me I need you clean the room very well, the air very well, otherwise I will be dead. So that's such serious patient, like I have no immune system. So I said, what's going on with this young lady?
Dr. Jin would learn that Beth was at a critical stage in her battle with Addison's. It's a rare form of autoimmune disease, one in which the immune system attacks one's own body and stops protecting it from infections from the outside. With Addison's, the immune system targets the adrenal glands, which then stop producing the hormones we need to survive.
She just felt my pulse, and then she said, go home, you're too sick, go home. And we thought she wasn't going to treat me. I mean, that was what I thought. 9 o'clock that night, I'm in my apartment with my friend, and the doorman calls, and he said, Dr. Jin is downstairs. I said, what? Who? I'm not expecting anyone. And she came up and she said, well, you're too sick. I can't treat you in the office, so I had to come to you.
In the beginning, she said, I'm young. This is my last choice. If I cannot do it, my whole life is ruined out. So that's the only choice I can do.
They had called everyone, my doctors. They said I wasn't going to make it, and my parents, everyone should say goodbye to me.
I said, if you cannot completely avoid all this kind of bacteria or germ around you, actually, if you are so young, you want to live in this world, how can you do that? I said, what you need to do is use the acupuncture to build up the immune system. And then we work very hard.
A mainstay of traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, acupuncture is exquisitely complex. Those hair-thin needles are meant to tap and stimulate specific nodes in the patient's nervous system, often around the site of pain or injury, almost always at central nerve points near the spine. For For every session, the doctor creates a map of her approach, a precise location, a precise depth, a precise plan for how long each needle will remain. Dr. Jin says ultimately the treatment success relies on the doctor's thorough grasp of the patient's history and illness and the patient's willingness to trust in acupuncture.
Her doctor said, I don't believe it will work, but she trusts it will work.
Beth's problem was that with her condition still undiagnosed as Addison's, she wasn't getting the hormone and steroid medications she needed to replace what her adrenal glands weren't producing. Dr. Jin treated her for 4 years.
She was pretty wonderful in the sense that she's so busy. She knew how sick I was. She would come over in the evenings and she would do the acupuncture, and she made me some special, her herbs, and she got very old ginseng from China for me, like 35 years old, and she made me brews with it, and it would give me energy. It got me through those years.
If your immune system too low, you are easy to get infection. If your immune system too sensitive, you are easy to get the allergic reaction. So sometimes you use too much steroid, and then the immune system will getting low. If you use antibiotic too much, and then they will load out the immune system again.
Oh, it doesn't hurt. They're not needles like a blood test. They're very thin needles, and they don't hurt. They just feel like a little prick, and it's very relaxing and soothing. And acupuncture really just opens up any energy blocks that you have in your body. You just feel peaceful, and then a week or two later, you'll notice that you've just been having an easier time the last few weeks.
So why acupuncture good? It's because acupuncture treatment is adjusting or balance. That means if you have a lower immune system, they can adjust until your body getting stronger.
And about 2 years ago, I got correctly diagnosed and confirmed by 4 doctors that I have the Addison's, and they did all the tests, and they said it's a miracle. There's no way you should be alive today without having taken your medication. To be symptomatic and to survive for 12 years is miraculous.
And finally, she's getting better. It would take a long time. Now she was so happy. She always say, I want to use my experience and then work on this a volunteer work, tell the patient, help the patient they really needed to be helped.
It's pretty amazing how people come into your life, and Ming didn't have to treat me. And she took me on. She didn't just treat me. She knew I was in need, and she showed up.
In the last 15 years, acupuncture has shown incredible growth in the United States. More than 14 million have used it, and mostly for simple pain relief.
But Beth Wagner's story shows how valuable acupuncture can be when it's expertly applied, even in much more serious cases. This season on Healing Quest, our nutrition segments are focused on brain food, what we can do to most effectively nourish this most important part of our body.
Our source for this advice is Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez, a renowned nutritional therapy expert.
Now, his topic today is nuts, 3 kinds that are especially valuable, not only as brain food, but also for our heart and our liver.
Walnuts specifically help lower cholesterol, help heart function. They also have the omega-3s too. All the nuts will have varying proportions, varying amounts, depending on the nut, of the essential omega-3 precursor alpha-linolenic acid, which in the body can be converted into EPA and DHA. So it's the plant source of the omega-3 essential fatty acids. They are particularly richly found in nuts and seeds, particularly in nuts. So that's why all nuts are valuable. Now, walnuts are specifically important because of the proportion of fatty acids, seems to help the heart, has been proven to lower cholesterol, and helps reverse atherosclerosis. I like Brazil nuts because they have a particularly high level of selenium, which helps produce glutathione in the body, which is the liver's main detoxifying molecule, but also selenium helps fight cancer. That's been documented in many studies, epidemiological studies, clinical studies, prospective studies. So selenium, very essential, and Brazil nuts, one of the richest sources of selenium of any food on earth. We have a particular proclivity to almonds. We happen to like almonds in our practice. Raw almond butter also. Almonds help fight, they're not miraculous, and that's not all we use, of course, but they help fight cancer. But they also help the brain. The reason they help the brain, they have lots of minerals, yes, but they have the omega-3 alpha-linolenic acid precursor, which really is necessary for normal brain function.
And Dr. Gonzalez says we can get even more nutritional benefit from nuts if we soak them before serving them.
All foods have valuable nutrients, but most foods also have anti-nutrients. Nuts particularly have anti-nutrients, particularly enzyme blockers. They block like pancreatic enzymes. And if you soak them, interestingly enough, you preserve the nutritional value, but you knock out the anti-nutrients and the anti-enzyme blockers.
This is not the first time we've heard about the benefits of soaking nuts and grains. 2 seasons ago, author and nutritional therapy practitioner Margaret Floyd gave us details on why traditional societies have been soaking nuts and grains for centuries to make them easier to digest.
If you think about the purpose of this little grain, it's not necessarily to feed us, it's to grow another plant. And so it doesn't want to break down prematurely. And so it has all these protective mechanisms. It has, we call them anti-nutrients, so things like enzyme inhibitors or something called phytic acid. And unless we deal with those, it becomes very difficult for our body to actually break down the grain when we eat it. And it actually leaches a lot of minerals and important nutrients from our body in that process. So we're going to trick the seed into thinking that it's about to grow another plant by soaking it.
Okay, let's get back to tricking walnuts, as Margaret would say, to make sure we get the most out of the brain food benefits in them. So first of all you have to do is soak them in a bowl of water overnight. Then drain the nuts, put them on a cookie sheet, season them with sea salt, and put them in the oven at a very low temperature, maybe 200 degrees. I know a lot about this. Then you let them roast for 5 or 6 hours, take them out of the oven, and then, here's my big tip to you. After you take them out of the oven, hide a bunch. Because if anybody else is around, they're going to disappear so fast you won't believe it. Now, I'm not saying not to share them. I just want to make sure you get to enjoy them before they're all gone, and I'm speaking here from personal experience.
You know, sharing is a good thing.
Well, it's right up there with giving, and it's anything for our viewers here on Healing Quest.
Water for our farms and food, water for our lives, water for the world. It seems we're reminded every day about how we need to cherish this simple substance and the role it has in everything we are and do. It's also a beautiful part of our human connection to nature, which is why we celebrate water today in our healing moment.
Thanks again to Louis Schwartzberg for that fabulous footage. For more about his moving art project, we have a link on our website, healingquest.tv.
And to learn more about the music from composers John Hoy and Karen Drucker, you'll find that link there as well.
And a big thanks to Jane Rivar and her staff here at the River Highlands Ranch near Grass Valley, California, where we're shooting this season.
And thanks to all of you for watching. That's our Healing Quest for now, but please remember you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
And join us next time, right here on Healing Quest.
On our next Healing Quest...
Let's face it, it's a busy world out there with lots of distractions.
But what if we could actually train our brains to really focus on the things we need to?
This seems like a particular domain where training people to attend differently could provide incredible benefits.
We'll join 4 scientists as they work to piece together a puzzle with 100 trillion parts.
We'll watch Chef Rebecca Katz work some tasty magic with one of the best ways to nourish our brain.
And we'll have a helpful tip for the next time you're shopping for extra virgin olive oil.
It's all on our journey to better health. Next time on Healing Quest.
Broadcast of this program made possible by
So True, makers of organic fermented whole food nutrition. All So True products are non-GMO, gluten and soy free, and fermented to help unlock the full potency of each ingredient. More information is available at SoTrue.com. So True, whole food nutrition designed for your best self.
Prime, a daily dietary supplement designed to support cardiovascular health by boosting the production of nitric oxide. More information available at primeno.com.
Vital Choice Seafood, wild-caught seafood and whole food supplements rich in omega-3s. More information about our wild seafood and our sustainable practices is available at www.vitalchoice.com or at 800-608-4825.
For more information on the stories in today's show and on upcoming Healing Quest live events, visit us at healingquest.tv.
To order a DVD of this episode of Healing Quest, call 877-544-4827 or write the address on your screen.